Hey guys, this is Marty, Sliva, and Bob Mackey with 1UP.com, and we are here playing The Cave, which just released this week on Xbox Live, PSN, Wii U, and Steam.
Right, and it's a Ron Gilbert production.
Ron Gilbert back at Double Fine, so his first game back with Tim Schafer's company, and it is his. He's kind of going back to the, Monkey Island, Maniac Mansion roots that he started with, but in a guise of a 2D platformer.
I'll say it's a remotely spiritual sequel to Maniac Mansion.
It is, yeah, absolutely, because you have the three characters. So I happen to have the monk, who you saw here,
right?
The knight, and the time traveler.
And what part of the game are we in now?
We are probably about like a half an hour into the game. This is right before. So at the beginning of the game, you have 7 characters to choose from. I chose these 3, but depending on the 3 you choose, the game plays out differently. But right now we're at the end of the general part, so everyone will play through this, and then you'll kind of get a unique experience right afterwards.
Okay.
And so yeah, you see these 3 characters. All 3 of them have unique abilities, and all 3 of them you can switch between. So you see this little thing here. This is how the kind of the backstories are told for each character, and the design on the wall represents the character this is. So this is the knight. So when you see his backstory, it's told via a little like picture show, a vignette, and so you realize that the knight was actually just a kid, who found a dead knight and ended up taking his armor, and so that's only the first part of his story. So there's a lot more. Each of the 7 characters are almost like this strange Canterbury Tales / 7 Deadly Sins parable, which is really interesting in my opinion.
They're all on a pilgrimage, so that makes sense.
Yes, all of them have a different reason to go into this cave, and the cave itself is the one thing that kind of continues to tell the story. Like the characters themselves don't talk, but the cave has no problem, interjecting if you're messing up or.
And unlike Canterbury Tales, this game is actually finished.
It is.
Take that, Chaucer. who died.
1UP's weekly Chaucer burn.
Yeah, he's had it coming.
So one of the my review went up this week. I liked the game. I gave it a B. But one of the things I complained about was the fact that there's a lot of tedious backtracking and micromanagement that could have been solved, and I'll show you a bit of it here. So to open this door, you need to have 3 people on this pedestal.
Right.
But instead of just being able to rally everyone together, you need to go back and individually take everyone and get them to your place, which to me seems a little strange.
Right.
That I don't know. It feels like granted, the game is built with multiplayer in mind. You can have 3 people cooperatively playing, but even that, creates some problems where the camera only centers on one person and never splits, and you can't play online. So and you can switch characters at any time you desire, which ends up being a bit confusing. I was playing with a couple buddies of mine, and accidentally one of us would switch characters, and for like a couple seconds all 3 of us would have no idea of who we were playing.
Would you say the I'll let this guy talk.
Cannot be learned. It is a quality you are born with. That may or may not be true, but what is true is you can't steal it. It's a lesson our brave knight friend is about to learn, or a lesson we hope he is about to learn before anyone else gets hurt.
This dialogue, I guess each character has their own sort of section in the cave.
Yeah, and so this is actually the knight section right here. And so if you didn't have the knight in the party, you wouldn't be able to. Every character has their own special ability, and the knight's is kind of this holy armor to where you can't get hurt. And if you didn't have the knight right now, you couldn't get through the fire, and you couldn't access this area, and you would just move on.
Okay.
And so, even though in order to see all the stories, you have to play through the game 3 times at a minimum, you do get very different experiences, and each character kind of has their own dungeon that fleshes out their story and their pilgrimage. Also, you'll see that my knight is carrying around a postcard, and I won't say what it does, but you find a postcard earlier on in the game, and if you somehow carry it all the way through the game, something very cool happens.
Oh, it's like the gnome in
it
Valve,
is in
Valve games.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So I would recommend that as a tidbit. Oh, I died. See, I didn't institute that quick enough.
Is that now? You don't have to spoil it, but is there like a fiction reason for the lack of death?
Well, the first time you die, you'll inevitably die early on in the game, and the cave will just tell you that it's not. It's pretty much kind of like Lost. It says it's not done with you yet.
I see.
And so every character kind of has to go through this arc inside the cave.
Another fine knight cometh to try and pulleth Excalibur from the stoneth. Only the worthy
So you're saying, I hate to interrupt the king here,
Oh,
but
no.
you're saying that each character you think is like one of the seven deadly sins.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
explicit in the game, or is it just something you pick up through
Yeah,
context?
it's not super explicit, but it's something that as you parse each character's backstory, you realize that they had one major flaw, and it relates to lust or gluttony or greed.
What is the knight? Is he pride?
The knight is pride. Yes,
Okay.
yes. He flies a little too close to the sun.
I see.
And so yeah, in order to get the sword, the king said you have to save the princess. And so yeah, as you can see, I mean, this is a Double Fine game. The same guys who made Psychonauts and Brutal Legends, and more recently things like Costume Quest and stacking and things like that. And so they have a really kind of whimsical, unique art style, and just that kind of similar brand of humor. If you liked Maniac Mansion, if you liked Escape from Monkey Island, you're gonna. I mean, this game is genuinely funny.
Yeah, and the dialogue seems humorous without being excessive.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
kind of gets to the point, but it's still entertaining.
Yes, exactly.
So what else can you tell us about this, Marty?
It's a short. It's downloadable, so it's a short, nice little. It took me, I think, 3.5 hours to get through the first time. And honestly, if you liked what you did the first time, you're going to want to go through it again. Because, like I said, there was this haunted mansion the first time we played through, and I completely went around it because I couldn't get inside of it. And I was like, well, damn it, I want to go inside the haunted mansion. But it's because I didn't have the creepy twins, who are another character, kind of like these Shining-inspired twins. And so going back the second time and being the twins and being able to explore that area and get to their kind of messed up, dark, twisted backstory was really cool.
And how different would you say each playthrough is after the first one?
How
much
it is.
new
I mean, if
things,
you load in a complete 3 different set of characters, I would say 75% of it's different.
Okay, nice.
You're still the game kind of bookmarks with a very similar area, but it's really impressive how the game manages to create puzzles that can be solved by any combination of characters. Which there's no point where unlike a game like Maniac Mansion where you could ostensibly have a game over screen,
right?
If you make the wrong choices, here no matter what combination you take, you will be able to solve whatever problem comes into term. Whether it's the knight using his ability to kind of distract an enemy and have him come towards him, which allows another character to get behind him. The time traveler, who, if you're playing the game for the first time, I would recommend taking her because she has an ability to vamp through walls, which comes in handy. You can kind of get through a lot of gates. And then the monk has the ability to draw in items if they're close by. So if something's even like behind a closed-off area, he can draw it in.
Yeah, all the abilities seem to be very different. And
they are very
nothing
different.
seems like a lazy idea.
No, absolutely. And the game, the game does a really good job of kind of whimsical, non-verbal storytelling, which I really like. There's funny things like you'll see here. There's fire, there's hot flame, there's flaming flame, there's flamey wamey thing. And there's a lot of, if you've played any of their games, you'll realize that they're, they know what they're doing when they're making a game like this, but at the same time, they're, they don't insult your intelligence. And that's something that's really, I don't know, refreshing in adventure games. And I mentioned in my review how,
Chuck the Flame.
That's there are a lot of.
I see what he did there.
There are a lot of references to older games. You'll find this enchanted, haunted electric guitar that may or may not have belonged to Eddie Riggs at some point in the game.
I see.
And yeah, I mentioned this in my review, but the last year or so, we've had a lot of really interesting, good, different kinds of adventure games, from The Walking Dead, which we both loved, but I obviously it didn't really have a lot of puzzles outside of the first episode.
Yeah.
To things like Kentucky Route Zero. To there was still these weird kind of German. What was the survival horror game? Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even things like Japanese visual novels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, VLR
been
and yeah. And it feels like this among in that spectrum of all those games is the kind of most classic. Of the adventure games, and it kind of feels the most like something like Maniac Mansion or Monkey Island. And even though it's in the kind of accessible guise of a 2D platformer, it really, I don't know, the logic behind the puzzle is really, you said it well the other day on a podcast. You said when you see an item, you have to think of what is the most cartoonish way to use this item.
Right, like how would that item be used in the world? Not like this is a bucket. Of course, water goes in it. But,
Yeah,
it's but you can also put it on your head. Or,
Yes. How would this work in a Looney Tunes gag?
Right.
Which I think is an interesting way to make a game. And especially for a game this early on in the year. Like, this is something I think that it came out at the perfect time. It's not getting overshadowed by anything, possibly Ni no Kuni, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, no. Sore subject.
Yeah, but honestly, anyway, I mean, this is, you know, it's a downloadable game for the Wii U, PS3, Steam, 360, on whatever platform you have it on. Despite my reservations with it, I really recommend, you know, you guys checking it out, because it's, you know, entry level enough to where people who didn't play adventure games will be able to enjoy it. But at the same time, you know, the puzzles have enough charm and logic behind them to where, you know, if you've been playing games like Bob and I, these kind of games for as long as you can remember, then you'll absolutely dig this.
Yeah, it looks great, and I'm looking forward to playing it this weekend, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I guess we'll be with you guys next week again. We want to do this every week. We want to check out a new game, and whoever reviewed it, whoever previewed it, and just kind of talk about it and let you guys know what we think.
But Marty stands by his score of B.
B. It is the B-est game that has ever beed.
No S rank.
No S rank. That was Jose saved that for Devil May
Which
Cry.
game will unlock the S rank? Stay tuned.
God, Bayonetta 2.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye, guys.